Hi, this is Zibby Owens, and you're listening to Totally Booked with Zibby, formerly Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. In my daily show, I interview today's latest best-selling, buzziest, or underrated authors and story creators whose work I think is worth your time. As a bookstore owner, publisher, author, and obviously podcaster, I get a comprehensive look at everything that's coming out and spend my time curating the best books so you don't have to. Stay in the know, get insider insights, and connect with guests like I do every single day. For more information, go to zibbymedia.com and follow me on Instagram at Zibby Owens. Dr. Nicholas Perricone is the author of The Beauty Molecule, introducing Neuroceuticals, the breakthrough for ageless beauty. Dr. Perricone is a renowned physician, scientist, educator, award-winning inventor, and best-selling author whose groundbreaking work has redefined beauty and wellness. As the founder of Perricone MD, a global cosmeceutical and nutraceutical brand, he pioneered the connection between youthful health and beauty through innovative science-backed technology. With 237 issued patents worldwide and dozen more pending across medicine, pharmacology, and aerospace, Dr. Perricone's contributions span far beyond skincare. A recipient of the Eli Whitney Intellectual Property Award, Dr. Perricone has also created and hosted popular acclaimed public television specials. He is the author of numerous #1 New York Times bestsellers, including The Wrinkle Cure, The Perricone Prescription, The Perricone Promise, and Forever Young. Dr. Perricone is a master of the American College of Nutrition, certified by the American Board of Dermatology, and a fellow of the New York Academy of Sciences and the American Academy of Dermatology. He has held a variety of academic roles, including adjunct professor of medicine at Michigan State University College of Medicine and assistant clinical professor of dermatology at Yale School of Medicine. Known as the father of the inflammation-aging connection, Dr. Perricone continues to advance his holistic approach with the launch of the Perricone Hydrogen Water Company, extending his work in anti-inflammatory and cellular health. As a lifelong scholar, he just graduated from the Yale School of Public Health Executive Master's Program, further cementing his commitment to innovation and education. Welcome, Dr. Perricone. I'm so excited to talk to you today about The Beauty Molecule, introducing Neuroceuticals, the breakthrough for ageless beauty. Thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be with you.
So I have to say, I thought of you this morning as I was waking up, and I was thinking about the routine that you outlined in the book for your mornings, how you're going out and getting some sunshine. I thought of this as I grabbed my phone, and I thought about you doing your stretches and on the meditation
Yes.
and all the things as I frantically got ready. And I was like, his morning was probably much better than mine.
Well, it's a beautiful day here, so I'm quite happy.
So tell listeners about your latest book, your latest discovery, and how it all ties into how we can all wake up and live our best lives sort of from the moment we get up and change habits to extend our life, look better, feel better. And basically, you have the secret of life here in your book. It's right there.
Well, this book was very important because I hadn't done a book for a number of years. And the reason I did not do it, I wanted to have all new information. And so I was doing all this research for the past 9 or 10 years, and I had it all put together. And then as I'm writing the book, I realized that a whole generation has gone by now. So I had to go back a little bit and start from the beginning, because the anti-inflammatory diet, which came out just around the year 2000, it's been 25 years now, I guess. And I wanted the generation to know how important the anti-inflammatory diet is in terms of health and beauty. So it's a really comprehensive, and people did want me to do some personal things. And I talk about my routine, which as what you were doing this morning, you get out there and you get that sunlight in, and it basically sets your body clock. And the body clock is really critical in terms of metabolism. And so you set that in the morning, and you now have you're basically working on your metabolism, just like you do when you're eating the anti-inflammatory diet and doing meditation and all the other things. But the reason I wrote this book, once again, is my research came down to one molecule. And this molecule was almost like magic. It's like the anti-inflammatory molecule, and it's throughout our body. It makes us make memories and makes us be able to use our brain for computational things. And at the same time, we can't even contract our muscles without acetylcholine. So it's throughout our bodies. So in the book, I give you a series of basically options on different ways of elevating this beauty molecule. And we can do it in so many ways: moderate exercise, meditation, certain supplements that we take, the food that we eat, and it all comes together very nicely. So you can now control this very important anti-inflammatory molecules. And so this is really, I think, I'm really happy with this book because I get to tell the whole story, and not only tell the story, but also tell you what to do to maintain your health and beauty, and of course, cognitive function.
Well, I like how you outline your whole journey first, so we can sort of follow you and your education and your passions and your interests and how you arrived at this discovery. And also, how you're like, wait a minute, all of a sudden people are saying there's this new thing. I've been talking about this for like a decade, 2 decades. Like, this is not new. This was like, I've been saying this all along. So I could feel your, indignation for what you've discovered. And I love all the credit you gave to all the doctors that you worked with along the way and what they contributed to all of your discoveries. That was really gracious and lovely of you to do. And it ends up with things that we can control quite simply with what we're eating. You talked about, maybe you could share a little bit how you first came out with this 3-day anti-inflammatory diet, and we're on Oprah and everybody was freaking out about that. And you put that back in the book. So if anybody wants to do that, they can start at least with that. And I was reading the diet and I'm like, okay, I can do this. It's just, I basically eat this stuff. I just also eat all the things on the list of not to eat every day. So
Exactly.
maybe start there with how within 3 days, because it's on the cover and it's something that's very powerful to show people what this diet can do, and then how adding the beauty molecule and the hydrogen water and all that can play into everything.
Okay, well, certainly this is very important information, so I'm going to run through it. My research over the years proved to me that inflammation is the enemy. It's the basis of all of Western diseases, and including the disease of aging. Now, when I came up with this 25 years ago, the scientists and the medical community was not happy with me. To talk about aging as an inflammatory disease was an outrageous thought to them, and also all the other things I was mentioning. And it got pretty tough to the point where I was kind of ostracized and told to leave my little professorship at Yale and all of that stuff. And of course, now it's mainstream, and no one's mentioning it. I haven't gotten any letters of apology, by the way.
Yeah.
But that's that when you're ahead of your
emails
time.
every day for one of those.
So, it's difficult when you're ahead of your time. But the important thing is this, that I got the message out. This is book number 10. And so now I'm redoing this. I just wanted to get everybody up to speed. So it's so simple. My conclusion was that any food that we eat that causes a rapid rise in blood sugar results in, of course, an insulin response. And that's why we're healthy. But the insulin response tends to cause a cascade of inflammation that can last up to 3 days. So we do not want to spike our insulin, spike our blood sugar, and result in insulin. And so what I outlined are the foods that we can do this. And to make it simple, we don't have to have all of this technical jargon. It's really straightforward. And I put many, many patients on this. And what I noticed, there was incredible differences in the way they looked in mere 3 days. And so you have this incredible radiance you can see it across the room, and everything works better. So the first book came out, and I received a call from Diane Sawyer, and she said, Dr. Perricone, I'm here reading your book. And she says, very fascinating, would you come in and talk with me? Of course, I was pleased to do so. And I met her. It was really amazing. She is just so articulate, and she's so positive, and she's also beautiful, and everything together. And we sat and talked. She said, I like this book, but she had little markers in the book in different places, and she opened it up right here. I want to talk about this. It says that if we follow the anti-inflammatory diet, we can look 10 years younger in 3 days. She said, I think this is hyperbole.
I said, well, Diane, I also have a marker in the book. I'm not Diane Sawyer. Okay, anyway, keep going.
So I said, I understand, your skepticism. I said, I've done this with hundreds, if not thousands of patients, and it really does work. She said, well, let's do this. Would you be willing to come back here, say on a Tuesday, and lay the foods out for the country? And then I'm going to choose 3 women at ABC, and we're going to put them on the diet. And then we're going to come back, day 4, and we're going to do before and afters, and we're going to interview these people. And she said, And if it doesn't work, I have to roast you in front of the entire country. So I said, well, I said, it's going to work unless they cheat. And so we did that. And on the day of, the day number 4, it was not in the studio. It was in Bryant Park, this beautiful park behind the library on Fifth Avenue in New York City. And it was a real sunny day. So I arrived and I went into the makeup trailer, and she was having her hair done and her makeup put on. And she was really in a good mood. She said, "Good morning. It's a beautiful day, Dr. Perricone." I said, "Yes, it is." She said, "Are you ready to be roasted?" I said, "Well, if they haven't cheated, no, it won't happen that way." So we stepped out of the trailer together. We're walking, and all of a sudden she freezes, and she's like, "I said, is something wrong?" And she said, "Oh my God!" So about 30 yards away are the 3 women. She said, "I could see a difference from here." So I said, "Thank you, God." And we went on the air, and they did the before and afters, and women all talked about what they experienced. And what they experienced were a number of things. The fact that they just didn't look better, but their mood changes, because when you drop inflammation in the body and in the brain, all the neurotransmitters come up and we feel really good and we have clarity. And like the skin was glowing, and they all talked about an average weight loss of 5 or 6 pounds. Now that's not, you can't do that it's not body fat. You're losing water, which we call edema, and edema doesn't make you look very good. But when you lose that water, all of a sudden, the skin is not only radiant, but your cheekbones look higher. You have a crisper jawline. I mean, and the eyes are not dark, and they just look fantastic, and they feel fantastic. And so we told the story, and we finished up. And by the time I walked back to my hotel, the book was like number 1 for the next 25 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
And you couldn't find a piece of salmon, salad, or blueberries in the country. So that's kind of the history. And I continued with that. But it is just so powerful that something this simple can really work. And when I do studies and look at people, there are different markers we can use. There's one that's a blood test. It's called C-reactive protein, and it measures the total inflammatory load in our bodies. And if I take people with issues, and they say, "Well, I just had a physical exam. The doctor said, I'm at risk. My cholesterol's high, and I look and CRP, and so we put them on the diet. We repeat that CRP, 4 or 5 weeks down the road. It's way back in the normal area, and so we're cutting all of their risks. So." And of course, as we know, I created a skincare line all based on anti-inflammatories.
Yes.
And it does work well. And I no longer have the company, but they maintain the original formulas and the original packaging, and it does amazing things. But what we want to do is beauty from the inside out, which is of course the lifestyle and the anti-inflammatory diet, and the outside in would be the topicals, which are still really effective, and those. And all of those formulas have been kept secret, and so no one has it except the Perricone MD company. So we're really pleased that that's still going strong, and it does a lot of good things for people.
So you touch on this in the book about GLP-1s and the introduction of that into inflammation and all of that. I've been on Mounjaro for, I don't know, a year and a half or something like that. And I've noticed so many effects, and I keep shouting about it. I'm like, it's made this better. It's made that better. Tell me a little bit about that and how it can be a magic bullet for so many things.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm really enthused as well. So when we do the anti-inflammatory diet, we're changing our metabolics. But when you use one of something like Mounjaro, which is has 2 receptor sites it works on, it's just like really hitting those receptors really hard. It's a pharmaceutical. And so what I saw was, and looking at these patients who've been on it for some time, yes, they had weight loss, but they also looked 10 years younger. And of course, that just proved my premise from 25 years ago that aging is an inflammatory disease, but this is the best anti-inflammatory I've ever seen in my career. And so it is incredible, yes. And talking to people who are using it, I mean, whatever issues they had, everything, whether it's cognitive issues, and now Eli Lilly is coming out with all these new patents because it works for irritable bowel syndrome. It tends to slow the onset of cognitive decline, which is normally, it's just a huge problem right now because the baby boomers are reaching that age now. And we want to keep them from having this decline. It could actually, of course, it ruins lives, but it also could actually destroy the healthcare system. It's that important. And in addition to other things, they already said that there's a 20 to 30% decrease in risk for breast cancer, or those using the tirzepatide. And so I'm really enthused about this. And so it's not just about weight loss. What I'd like to do is I'd like to see this thing called microdosing. Instead of having this one injection a week, which is not really physiologic, you have high levels and then it slowly comes down. I'd like to see them come up with microdosing. And also I have another company. It's called Transdermal Biotechnology, and I've had that for 20 years. And I worked on ways of getting peptides, and tirzepatide is a peptide, in the skin, and not with a patch, but just a gel. And you put it on the inside of your wrist and you rub it like this, and it's there. And you can use a tiny dose every day, which would be physiologic. And I think people would do even better. So I'm working on that right now as well.
Yeah.
So yes, we have.
If you could hurry that one up, that would be lovely.
I will definitely try to work on that. So I just think so many good things are happening, in the community, scientific community, pharmacologically, of things that we can do to really stay young and healthy. So that it's very important that we do this because everybody's working hard and everybody has this they have a purpose here, and I call it the mission. And whenever I talk to groups, whether it's individuals or a large number of people, I say, look, I know every one of you, you already know your mission. It was intuitive. You have it and it's there. And all of a sudden I see the heads moving. Yes, they do. But you have to point it out. And so to achieve this mission, we have to have our brain working. We have to have a healthy body. We have to have a lot of energy and attitude, positive attitudes. And this is all going to be done just by doing the things that we're talking about today. That's why it's so much fun to write these books. I can get to so many people.
Do you feel like there is a possibility of a world, like when my kids are older or something, where people just don't look like they're aging?
Yeah, it's really different now. I distinctly remember my grandparents and what they looked like when they were 50 years old.
Yes.
And 50-year-old people now look like they're in their 20s. It's just phenomenal. And so with all of these things we're doing, the anti-inflammatory diet, certain kinds of supplements, moderate exercise, and of course, some of the newer things like tirzepatide. Yeah, I think it's a totally different. It's really completely different. And people are starting businesses and new jobs in their 50s. I mean, I didn't create my company until I was 50 years old when I started that company, and so it's worked out well. So what I'm saying is we have a long, healthy life ahead of us. We can do anything we want, and to do that, you have to have health, and you have to have clear mind and motivation. You have to know the simple things. And all these things I have in the book are so simple. And it's just part of your daily routine. And the other thing, too, is I want to talk a little bit about hydrogen water.
Yes, I was getting there because I want to know where to buy more and how it works and how everybody can find it.
Okay, so here's the thing. I knew that my diet is so effective and the anti-inflammatory lifestyle was so important. I wanted to give back. So I was looking for what I call the magic bullet. And the magic bullet would be something that would be inexpensive, non-toxic, easy to use, readily available. And I was reading a journal, a very prestigious journal called Nature Medicine, and they were talking about the benefits of hydrogen water, and which is just adding extra hydrogen to the water like we put sugar in our tea. And they claim that it had anti-inflammatory, antioxidant capabilities. I was very skeptical because of the chemistry and biochemistry, but I read it and then I said, well, I've got to find out. So I actually went to Tokyo and I met with the scientists and I met with the manufacturers, and they had really good, a lot of good data, but I was still not convinced. So I came back, and what I did was I said, I'm going to do a study. So I had a very good partner that time. Unfortunately, he is no longer with us. And I said, look, I want to quantize something here, something that I can actually look at numbers before I start recommending this and before I start investing money into creating this. And I want good science. And I said, one of the things they're touting in Japan is increased energy. And so Dr. Peter Puglisi, he said, give me a few days. I want to think about this. So I get this phone call. He said, I've got some good news. He said, there's a molecule in the skin under a certain frequency of light will fluoresce. It'll give you a signal back. And the molecule is NAD. Now, the NAD is the energy molecule. That's what we hear about now. People are taking precursors. And so we set up this entire program, and we brought people in. It was double-blind, placebo-controlled, and we sat them down. They got these cans that were nondescript, and they drank it. They didn't know whether they were getting plain water or hydrogen water. And we had a little leather strap around their arm with the LAD, and it's hooked up to my computer. And the first person sits down, and I said, okay, it's going to be a long day because we have to drink that water. It has to go from mouth, esophagus, stomach, then into the bloodstream, then circulate. The farthest point in the body is our skin cells. Then it has to enter the skin cells. Then it has to enter the mitochondria. So I figured this is going to take hours. And sitting there, plus I didn't know whether this was a placebo or hydrogen water. But I'm looking at my computer, it catches my eye. I'm seeing signals going up, but this is 2.5 minutes. I said, maybe it's a malfunction. I just kept on watching it. And in 15 minutes, it was up 12.5%. And it stayed there for hours, by the way. I said, this is it. And so I did the whole study. And then I presented this study at a Harvard conference. And it was really well accepted. I said, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and do this. So I started investing millions of dollars into equipment and everything else to get this out there. The problem was I was about 8 years ahead of my time. And so it took all that time.
The theme of your story here. You got to just slow down. Yeah. Anyway, keep going.
So we burned through millions of dollars waiting for the world to catch up. It's finally caught up now, and now we're going to move forward.
Wow.
So that's the story of hydrogen. But I just love this stuff. I have a little fridge in my bedroom, and in the morning, and you're feeling, like a little foggy, and I crawl over to it and take it and just, pop it, and I start getting clarity within like 10 or 15 minutes. It's just wonderful. And it does normalize metabolism. And there's one study that I mentioned in the book about the metabolic syndrome. And the metabolic syndrome is a name doctors give to a cluster of laboratory findings and physical findings on the exam. And they put that together and they call it metabolic syndrome because if you have the metabolic syndrome, in other words, you meet that criteria, you are at higher risk for all the Western diseases downstream, everything, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, whatever it is. And so the study done in India, it was 50 people with metabolic syndrome, and they were broken into two groups, placebo and the active group. And they were told, don't change anything, because if you have metabolic syndrome in this country, the doctor goes, you've got to go on a diet. You've got to start exercising. You're at risk for all these diseases. And it's really difficult for people to do this. So we gave them hydrogen water, and they said, don't change anything. You're not exercising, don't start. Eat the same food you're eating now, which was junk. And at 24 weeks, when we broke the code, 100% of those people that were getting the hydrogen water no longer had metabolic syndrome. So you can see how profound that is. Downstream, all the Western diseases, they can be stopped right there. So if we can get this country and any country in the world drinking this on a regular basis, we could lower the healthcare costs probably by a third in maybe 3 to 5 years, which would be phenomenal.
So in the book, you mentioned that you have to have this hydrogen water it has to be sold to you in an aluminum type can, it can't be in plastic or anything else. You have to drink it within about 10 minutes of opening it to make sure you get all of the effects. Where are you selling this? Who should we watch out? How do we get yours? And how can the average person find this? Is it going to be in Target? Where is it?
Okay, so right now we have our own platform, and we also have it on Amazon, and so it's readily available. And of course, we are now talking with all different retail outlets, which is going to be huge and make it much easier for people to get this stuff. And so that's probably down the road a little bit, but we are really gearing up in terms of manufacturing and getting this out. And of course, it's critical that we have therapeutic levels. And so all of the real studies have been done at least 1 part per million, 1 part per million to 1.2, 1.5. And all of the benefits are in that range. Now, you have other people that could have much higher levels, but we have no evidence that higher levels are going to do anything more.
Okay.
So that 1.2, 1.3, the 2 parts, that's important. And we have retains, which is one of these cans, that we actually filled 6.5 years ago, and we have 100% of hydrogen still in this can.
Hmm.
So that's important because many of the products on the shelves, they just they weren't done correctly and they start losing their efficacy. So that's the story of hydrogen water. And then it's going to change things in a very positive way for individuals and groups and on a country level.
And you only need 1 can a day to make all of the difference.
Well, 1 can a day to do it, but all the studies were done on 2 cans a day. So I actually have 2 cans a day myself.
2 cans a day. Okay.
All right.
I want to do whatever you're doing.
Yeah. And sometimes, if I'm going to do a workout late in the afternoon, I'll add another can because it just helps me get through the day. But I don't think we have any data that there's any more benefits by drinking more cans. I think 2 or 3 cans a day is probably adequate. But some people that want to do more, that's fine. I mean, it's certainly not toxic. You're not going to get in trouble from hydrogen water.
And
it's physiologic.
Is it okay for kids too?
Yes, that's a good question. I want to talk about 2 things here. Yes, it's really good for kids. And the reason I'm interested in that is that when kids are playing sports and they start in kindergarten, that any kind of movement of their head and ball or anything like that, there's a low-grade inflammation. Okay, it's not visible, but that is cumulative. And so when we have these children playing sports in high school and then college, and then if they even move on to be professionals, they start having cognitive problems in their 20s. So I would love to see this in the school systems. If you're going to go play soccer or something, you drink this can of water when you're done. It's that important. Mm-hmm. And I think once we get this out there, we're going to have this is going to be in IVs and hospitals. It's going to be used in so many different ways because it's such an incredible thing. But once again, non-toxic. It meets all the criteria, and everybody can do this in a simple way.
Wow. Well, very exciting, life-changing, cutting edge, per usual. Thank you so much. I personally feel empowered that this is not another solution that's going to take all of my time and energy and thought, and that these are simple, yet they make sense and easy to implement and all of that. So very exciting research, very exciting implications. The book is fantastic. The second half of the book, of course, much more prescriptive. The first half, more science, and just really, really exciting. So thanks for the things that you're doing, even if they're too early sometimes. We will catch up with you.
Well, great. Thanks again for inviting me. I'd love to be able to get to talk to your audience. And I know it's the number of people that will be seeing this, and we can change those lives.
That would be amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Perricone.
Great seeing you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to Totally Booked with Zibby, formerly Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. If you loved the show, tell a friend, leave a review, follow me on Instagram at Zibby Owens, and spread the word. Thanks so much. Oh, and buy the books.